Donald Trump has made it incredibly clear that his presidency will be focused on one thing, and that's revenge, going after his political enemies and attacking and politically persecuting those who tried to hold him accountable. Liz Cheney, Jack Smith, Mark Milley, and of course, Adam Kinzinger, who took a shot right back at Donald Trump recently and made it clear that he is not afraid and ready to continue to fight. And we are going to get into all of that and how it is making Donald Trump so angry. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into this incredible takedown that Adam Kinzinger delivered, I want to hear a little bit about how he views the upcoming Trump presidency and how he's pushing back in an interview he did on The View.
Please welcome Adam Kinzinger.
We did it. We made Bloody Marys, that's for sure.
Yeah, we did. Well, and we were just talking off camera. This documentary is riveting. It's amazing. It's emotional. Brings you back to those times that I think too many of us have forgotten, and starts making you think about what's going to happen in the next 4 years. But it reminds us that after January 6th, you were the first legislator from either party, actually, to suggest invoking the 25th Amendment to remove then President Trump from office. Instead, the American people voted to give him 4 more years in that very same office. What is your reaction to that, and what do you think the disconnect is, other than the hangover?
Look, I mean, we've kind of, we're comfortable in this country. We've got a lot given to us. We have a lot going for us. And so the issue of democracy, when you have a demagogue that comes out and plays to people's fears, like Donald Trump does. I mean, he divides us. He plays to fear. He says, you know, don't trust this person, don't trust that person. When he does that, democracy is a little lower on people's priority scale. You know, I'm proud that the January 6th committee now, unfortunately, is the only living record of what actually happened on January 6th. But I think America someday is going to have to wake up, and they will wake up and say, my goodness, we've got to protect this. This is too precious to let flounder.
So Trump recently announced his plans to appoint MAGA loyalist Kash Patel as FBI director. And you have been trolling Kash on social media, calling him, and I want to quote this, crazy eyes and a, quote, straight up psycho. So it's safe to say you're not a fan.
Not a big fan, nope.
And why is that?
So look, this is a guy, he actually started out as a staffer for Devin Nunes on the Intel committee.
Oh, the cow guy.
Yeah, the cow guy. And Devin Nunes was normal until he wasn't, until all of a sudden he got in Donald Trump's kind of circle, and Kash Patel went basically crazy with this. So he put out a enemies list, a so-called enemies list of members of the deep state, which again is part of that darkness, that division, that thing that's trying to turn us against each other. And he actually, in a recent interview, said on day one he's going to close down the FBI building. Of course he won't, but day one he's going to close it down and make it a monument to the deep state. When you politicize the position of FBI director, that is really dangerous in this country. And to know what Donald Trump's intention is, all you have to do is listen to what he's accusing his opponents of. If he accuses his opponents of politicizing justice, he fully intends to do that. And you can see this is one of those picks, unfortunately.
He's going to attack the press, too, as well.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel bad trolling? This is an off-ball question, but I've never been someone that could do that on social media.
No. Look, I feel bad. Like, I won't troll somebody that's innocent, but somebody that goes out and trolls people, I think they
feel like you have a role to play.
Yeah, a little bit, because you call out the hypocrisy. That's what I see. So, like, again, Kash Patel putting out his enemies list, right? Well, that's important to point out that Kash Patel is a not credible candidate for this position. And so, yeah, like, I think there are sometimes we all, including me, look, go, I kind of crossed a line with this, or I shouldn't do that. But I think if you play with fire, you know, at some point you got to expect fire to come back.
We've been talking about that. That's kind of the theme of the show today, is hypocrisy. And what Lindsay said was just losing trust in our politicians. And pardoning Hunter Biden is the news everyone's talking about. Doesn't this just feed into this narrative that people already feel about our politics today? They said over and over again, we're not going to do this. Yet it seems like it was baked the whole time. This was going to happen.
Yep. And this is the sad thing is, I think people are reacting to this news with, well, that's what politicians do. Right, now look, if I was Joe Biden, I think we all expected him to pardon Hunter. The problem is he said he wasn't going to do it. And he was very clear that he wasn't going to do it. And then he turns around and does it. And
why not just say, tell the truth?
Let me ask you, why do you think he did it?
Look, it's his son, right? I mean, I think if you put me in the position of having my son that was truly targeted because of who he was, let's be clear.
That's
very
important
clear.
to say. That, and I think that's why he pardoned. I don't think, from what I know of Joe, this was not the plan. But I think after everything that he saw and everything that went on, I think he just thought, I'm not putting my family, my friends, nobody else in this situation where they're going to get.
Trump won the election and has vowed a revenge tour.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be clear, he's, Donald Trump pardoned Jared Kushner's father, his right to do it, and then just named him ambassador to France. So this is not let's be clear, the Trump family is not this family that's innocent of the kind of things they're accusing Joe Biden of. And what Joe Biden did, while I think it's not necessarily appropriate, it was legal, and it pales in comparison to, unfortunately, what I think you'll see under the Trump
So you would have done the
administration.
same thing?
If it was my son,
And he'd gotten treated that way?
Probably. I mean, but it doesn't make it right? I'm just saying.
That's just where we are in politics right now. It's
just
sort of
where
like,
we
well,
are.
the other person did it, so
Exactly.
I'm going to do the same thing.
And that's a dangerous place to be.
It's not illegal.
It's a dangerous place to be. Yep.
Kind of piggybacking on this, despite Trump's personal attacks against you and promises of retribution, not to mention many death threats that you have received since you have been speaking out, you say that you have zero fear of Donald Trump. Why?
Look,
how, I should say.
I've been to war, okay? Donald Trump, and I'm not trying to just be partisan shots here. He is a small, weak man who is scared to death of people. He's scared to death of strong people. And so for me, I refuse to be intimidated. I didn't break the law. All I did was get answers for the American people. If you want to come after me, you have to make something up. And by the way, if you make something up, I'm going to use that and become twice the pain in your backside that I ever have been if you're going to come after me for no reason. And the American people won't stand for it. They may have elected Donald Trump, but they still want the law and the justice system to work as it should.
So he's not picking you for his cabinet, is what you're
No, I
saying.
know. And that's
You're not
fine.
gonna
I
make
think
it.
it'll be okay.
Adam Kinzinger clearly unafraid, and that came off even more when he spoke this weekend on CNN after Donald Trump had an interview with Kristen Welker in which he said he believed anyone on the January 6th committee, the January 6th Select Committee, of course, anyone on that committee should go to prison. Yeah, a pretty bold and unhinged statement, an authoritarian statement, really. Let's be clear, he's just a fascist. But Kinzinger responded right here.
Mr. Kinzinger, I want to ask you about one other thing about some news that Donald Trump made this morning in an interview that just came out. He talked to Kristen Welker about the January 6th Select Committee. Of course, you served on the January 6th Select Committee, and he said that they should, quote, go to jail, referring to the members who served on that committee. What is your reaction, and are you worried that Donald Trump will try to put you in jail?
No, I have absolutely no worries about this. First off, the executive branch can't go after the legislative branch because we embarrassed him. That's not a sin. That's not against the law. Ultimately, when we talked about him throwing his ketchup and hamburger against the wall, there's nothing illegal about that. And most of the people that testified were actually his Republicans, fellow Republicans that went up and spoke in him. So look, he's all butthurt right now because he was embarrassed. He's not going to come after us, and I'm not worried about it at all, in the least.
For the moment, there is still somewhat a system of justice in America. Donald Trump can say he thinks Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger should go to jail, but until he provides an actual crime they've committed that isn't treason for going against him, because that's Donald Trump's worldview, anyone who opposes him is opposing America because he thinks he is the country, because he's such a narcissist. Until he can find anything, have at it. Now, that is different for individuals unlike Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger, who have the resources and public support to push back against Donald Trump. Those who maybe worked under Jack Smith, who aren't as famous for the work that they did to try to hold Donald Trump accountable. Those people, we need to make sure we are working to provide them with resources when Donald Trump eventually tries to go after them. But for a Liz Cheney, for an Adam Kinzinger, who is clearly ready for this fight, he's saying, pretty much, you don't have anything to go after me for. So try and fail, and you'll make a mockery of yourself, and I'll just continue to be able to use this platform that I have, that Adam Kinzinger has, to talk about the ways that Donald Trump attacked our democracy. And I love that approach from Adam Kinzinger. I think we need to make it especially clear that this is the focus of Donald Trump. It's not lowering costs. It's not eggs. It's not groceries. It's revenge. And that's not what President Biden delivered on. That's not what Kamala Harris certainly promised. And speaking of which, Jessica Tarlov made a great point about the Biden presidency in a clip right here I want to check out.
The legacy of Joe Biden will be obviously complicated by how this ended and with Kamala losing, but he oversaw the best recovery in the G7 by far and away. Inflation in this country is lower. Unemployment in this country is lower. He expanded the number of people who got access to affordable health care, Medicaid expansion. We are producing more oil than any other time in world history under Joe Biden. The stock market, it was generous of you to give it. Donald Trump is out there trying to pretend that it's because he's coming back, that's why everyone is so hyped about this. We have been hitting record after record after record under Joe Biden. In terms of the jobs that you say are mirages, we can talk about all the revisions that happened under other presidents as well. But even if you removed all of the jobs that we lost during COVID, the snapback jobs, I think is what you called them, under the Biden-Harris administration, we still got more jobs at a faster clip than we did under the Trump administration.
President Biden delivered domestic success at a historic level during his presidency. Kamala Harris promised to continue that, to build upon it, to make it even better. Donald Trump's focus is his enemies. And we have to continue to talk about that. He's not working for you. He's working for his billionaire friends, and his focus is elsewhere. That is the message that we need to drive home, and it's what we're going to talk about every single day on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.